What's going on? It's Diamond Dave, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world. Wanted to reach out to you with today's Market Monday. So today is going to be August 3rd, 2020. And so give you a little feedback. If it's the first time you've seen this show, is that, the reason why we created Market Mondays is to start allowing working class and poor black people. And you may ask, what's the definition of working class? Working class is anybody that has to actively work to make their money to support themselves, right? Start having conversations about the market using people that look like them and people that sound and look like the kind of people in their particular neighborhood. And one of the reasons what motivated us to do this show was the fact that we understand that a lot of people are a byproduct of the conversations that they're currently having. And so we can start changing our conversation and start creating different type of conversations. It therefore will create a different type of result in our actions. And I had a really, really good post on my Facebook earlier today that I'm connected to through some other people. And he talked about how the fact that he had a conversation about a particular company today in the stock market, and he was able to create some income for him relatively fast based on the fact that he had that particular conversation. So this is what really inspires us. And when you get that kind of feedback, we know we're on the right path. We know we're doing the right thing. We're going to continue to push this particular message out on a consistent basis. And we just want you to take what we're talking about on this video. It's really, really short. It's really going to be really succinct. And start migrating some of these conversations in your local area. Because once we start making this the conversation, we now have the ability to start changing our reality and what's going on in our local environment. So let's get into it. So it's 8/3/2020, August the 3rd, 2020. We're going to really go through some of the major indicators of the market, and then we're going to start going into our segments. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed almost 1%, hit 236, and it closed around 26,664, right? The S&P 500 rose around 23.49 points, and it touched around 3,294 at the close, and the NASDAQ Composite gained about 1.5%, and it closed at around 10,902. They all open green and closed green. However, in my opinion, the confidence is going to be shaky. And one of the reasons why the confidence is going to be shaky is that the politicians have not agreed as of yet to that new stimulus package. And if they go to break, because they have a break coming up really, really soon, if they go to break before that deal is put in action and finalized, I really believe that it's going to shake the markets up. The market is going to have a large deal of uncertainty, and then you're going to probably see a drop in the market. So I think today we opened green because people are still optimistic about that particular stimulus package going through. But as of yet, they haven't really finalized it on the terms and voted on it and make sure that it's going through. So I think if that doesn't happen, we're going to see the market start to reverse, or as we get closer and closer to their break, and that has not taken place, the market may start to unravel. Another indicator was something called the manufacturing gauge, which is a tracking of manufacturing, right? And new manufacturing orders over the past month. It rose from 54.2. It rose from 54.2 to 52.6. It rose from 52.6 to 54.2, and new orders jumped up to 61.5. That's based on manufacturing activity, as done by surveying managers in manufacturing. So we want to understand that data point, right, is a steadier environment for producers, because we understand right after COVID happened, a lot of demand in manufacturing dropped off. Why? Because people weren't even going to be working. And one of the reasons is they cut demand because they felt like we don't want to have a lot of surplus, right, and not have demand for it. So therefore, they cut a lot of manufacturing, right, to make sure that they weren't sitting on surplus with no demand for it. Manufacturing a lot of times is kind of based on a balance between demand and supply. And what you a lot of times often see in manufacturing, they think that there's going to be a lack of demand in the near future. They will cut, right, manufacturing or something, right, to try to prepare themselves for that lack of demand. So one of the indicators that we're looking at is manufacturing, and understand that the manufacturing is starting to increase. That may be one of the indicators that show that the economy is healthy, because there's a demand, especially on consumer items. Now we're going to go into jump outs, right? And we're going to talk about companies that jumped out today and maybe give some context to one of the reasons why they jumped out. Want to go ahead and stop the video here. If you're watching the video live or you're watching this archive, go ahead and give me a like. That'll really help Facebook know that this content is valuable to you. And then therefore they'll promote this content in their feed, and also let me know so I can continue to produce more and more of this type of content. So Apple rose around 2.5%. It closed around 435. One of the reasons for that is because Apple did really well on earnings last week. Apple also gave a notification they're going to do a 4-to-1 split, which means that if you own one share of Apple, that share is going to split into 4. That also brought a new demand on their shares. And then we also got a report today that Apple purchased an online startup that's going to allow your iPhone to become a part of the payment processing system, similar to what you see with Square devices. So when you're looking at a Square device, it allows you to attach that device to your phone, which is primarily going to be an Android-based iOS or Android-based operating system. And then you now can use your phone as part of a payment processing system. iPhone is now saying that they've purchased a particular startup that's going to allow them to facilitate that same type of payment processing using iPhones. So it's going to allow them to get a lot more integration, especially for people that are business people. So we believe that will continue to allow the Apple stock price to rally and continue to go up. So Microsoft went up around 5.62%. It closed at 216. And one of the reasons for that is it confirmed on Sunday that it's holding talks with a Chinese-based company to buy out TikTok. And TikTok has been a very controversial company over the past few months because of its relationships with China, because of a lot of the allegations that it's spying on people and stealing their data. And so Microsoft, right, trying to acquire that company is a really, really big deal. And we're going to talk about some of the implications of that in one of our latest segments. Another one to jump out is a security company called ADT. And I think people may know what that is because it used to run a lot of commercials from the television standpoint. They rose around 56% today, right? They closed at 1348. And one of the reasons why they had this really, really big jump out is because from a fundamental standpoint, they announced a new venture with Google to create a generation of smart home security offerings. And once I really kind of researched this a little bit deeper, they're going to carry one of Google's line of smart home security offerings. So it's a really, really good partnership because ADT has a name in the security industry. What they most importantly have is they have a list of customers, right? And using that list of customers, you have neighborhoods in which security has been already purchased. You can take that list, you can use it in a lot of digital marketing because you not only have email address, you not only have email and name, but you also have physical address. And so now Google now has an entry point to start to introduce, right, the security market to their offering, piggybacking off ADT's reputation in that particular market. I really, really like this partnership. And I think that if this partnership can be done well, right, and it can be beneficial, it creates a lot of long-term value for ADT. And that's not investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a Series 7. But in my personal opinion, you're going to see a run-up in ADT because of this particular news, right? You're going to see a lot of selling off over time because the run-up is not going to be sustained. But I believe that ADT has a lot of long-term value because of this partnership, because you're partnering with one of the biggest companies in the world, one of the most successful companies in the world, and they want something you have, and you can also utilize their ability to scale, their ability to create products. You can bring products into the customer's house with that Google name that's already known. So it's a really, really good partnership. And I like these type of partnerships because they create synergy as opposed to one company just trying to acquire another company because they essentially want to buy them. I like these kind of partnerships in which you can create some kind of synergy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into a segment in which we're going to kind of identify something that's going on with a company and try to give more context, right? And some of the implications that it may have on you as an investor or somebody that aspires to be an investor. So I want to repeat, this is not investment advice. I don't have a Series 7. You should take this particular segment of this particular video as one, information, education, and also entertainment, right? So we want to talk about Microsoft and Microsoft buying TikTok. And TikTok is a social media app in which people shoot really, really short videos, right, as part of the functionality of that app. And so Microsoft wants to acquire that app because what we're seeing is that the United States government wants to force out the Chinese ownership of that app or make it to where that app can no longer be accessible to people inside the United States. So I think Microsoft wanting to jump in and purchase that app, right, is a really good deal for Microsoft for these specific reasons. We want to look at demographics. So we're looking at social media, right? So if you look at the social media landscape, you got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got Snapchat, you got TikTok, you got Instagram. To me, Instagram is really Facebook. all those particular social media platforms are skewed based on demographic of age, right? So Facebook has a certain demographic they appeal to. Instagram has a different demographic that they appeal to. Twitter has a specific demographic that they appeal to. Twitter for a very long time was the social media platform for millennials. Millennials have gotten a lot older because essentially they had a 10-year run. So now they're moving into almost middle age. So we want to see where the younger generation, will they now adapt and migrate to Twitter, or are they looking for something different like TikTok? Snapchat also has a different demographic. They were built for a specific demographic. And then we also got TikTok. So doing some research earlier today, found out that TikTok's global audience, 50% is under the age of 34, with 26% between 18 and 24. This is why this is a really good play for Microsoft. It allows Microsoft to have a social media presence that they're purchasing, so they don't have to build it from the ground up, right? They're purchasing a social media presence, and they also have access to a really, really young audience, right? And that really, really young audience is important because with 1/3 of your audience being between 18 and 24, and I really, to my opinion, is bigger than that. That 18 to 24 is a sweet spot for all what I call pop media, whether it's going to be music, movies, clothes, communication, language, even other social media platforms. A lot of times when you're going after that youth audience, you're trying to hit that sweet spot between 18 and 24. And what a lot of people don't understand is that once they get past 24, they're really not as desirable, right, to pop culture as they were if they are 24, even though they may not necessarily feel old. I had a guy that I knew that was a middle school teacher. He was 24 years old. And he said he never felt old until he went to middle school. And he started teaching middle school, and he realized that these middle schoolers were into like social media applications. They knew about music and things of that nature that he had never been exposed to when he was 24. So, you know, when you're 24 years old, somebody that's 13, 14 years old, you're old to them because you got a decade on them. And so that 18 to 24 age group is really, really important because advertisers want to get access to that, because one thing, they want to find out what is hot to them so they know what is coming. And they also want to try to figure out how they can start indoctrinating them to use their products and use their services at a very, very young age. So Microsoft being able to capture this particular platform is going to give them a really, really big footprint in social media as long as they understand how to grow this thing the right way. My only concern about Microsoft is that they don't have any experience in social at all. And so do they have the people inside or in-house that understand how to manage this particular situation properly? Or are they going to just use who TikTok already has working for them and just bring them over to Microsoft? And how are they going to deal with that particular situation? Because what Facebook is doing, and we saw this in India, Facebook right now in India has what I call a TikTok variant, where they have something that's similar to TikTok that they're testing in India, trying to see, can they get leverage, can they get traction with it, and then they're eventually going to bring it to the United States. So what Microsoft has to understand is that, yes, you may be able to acquire TikTok, but Facebook wants to take that same audience from you. So if you're not able to grow this properly, eventually TikTok is going to have to run some type of advertising on it to try to monetize it. If you're not able to monetize this properly by building out the right type of media buying platform and then developing relationships with media buyers, it's going to be very, very difficult to grow this thing and to make it profitable for you, so you can continue to maintain it and expand it. With Facebook coming at you with a variant of this particular product, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them. But I think that this really establishes Microsoft in a big way long term, because they've always been known for software. For them to get a presence in social, which is the future of online, for them to get a presence with a youth-oriented application that's very much based around young people. To me, the average person on TikTok, their super user probably under 23 years old. For them to be able to get a footprint in that particular market is going to be very, very important, especially for advertisers, people that want to start indoctrinating young people to use their particular products. And so I'm very optimistic about Microsoft continuing to increase their shareholder value with this being part of their service pie. So this is going to be the close of Market Mondays for 8/3/2020. If you know somebody that can get value from this, share it out. If you got any comments, hit me up in the comments. We can talk about it. And let me know if you want me to maybe include something different in this, or either make it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. Just give me some feedback in the comments. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, and I'll talk to you later.